Okay, we're going to just look at the numbers here for a moment. I'm putting this up at this point so that you can look at the numbers and the equation of each one of these cycles. So let's talk about this for a moment and begin to understand how this forms and what these world age similarities are between the Hebrew 70 generations and then the Mayan world age. All right, the first thing that we want to look at is what a world age is in Mayan terms. And roughly it equals 5,125 years. Now, when you go to research on your own these independent world ages, you're going to come up with varying numbers, which is right around this number right here. And I'm going to tell you at the end the reason for the confusion, why everybody has to continually round to make time on this precessional cycle. But first and foremost, that's the amount or the time. 5,125 years equals 1 Mayan world age. Now that is an age that we are now currently finishing. Now how does this tie up with what I've told you about the Hebrew Bible? Well, the Hebrew Bible records something as 70 generations. And uniquely enough, it's recorded in the same association as the binding and the loosing of these beings in question. Now these beings are of course associated with the serpent, of which you saw was being binded and loosed also on a periodic cycle of time. So if we were to equate what 70 generations is using the knowledge that gives you this number, it's going to come to 5,040 years. Now I'll explain to you how I arrive at that number. But the first thing that you need to understand now is that here are our two world age similarities. We have the Hebrew 70 generations, which is 5,040 years, and we see that that is the talk of the binding and then of course the loosing. So it's the term for a world age. At the beginning, binding, Genesis, and then the loosal, this judgment. And so 5,040 years. Well, with the Mayan world age, it comes to 5,125. That's pretty close. And there's even more similarities to that. But there's a reason why they're not dead on, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But here's our first two world ages to compare. And that right there is a 5,125, 5,125 years. Now let's talk about another similarity here. We're going to be talking about the Mayan world age numbers at this point right now. And these are how the numbers break down. We're going to start here at what a baktun is, because it takes 13 baktuns to make this one world age of this many years. Now, what is a baktun? A baktun is 12 days, or 12 times 12,000 days, which is going to equal 144,000 days. Now, does that sound familiar? It should sound familiar because it times up exactly with the 12 tribes of Israel. And that we see that at the end of the age, that the 12 tribes are symbolically being represented as 12 times 12,000 of each tribe, which in essence is going to total 144,000. Well, that's interesting because we have the exact same number and terminology within the Mayan system, which equates us to the very end of the age at the exact same time we're in now. All right, now we'll talk about later why that's important. What you need to know now is what we're finishing currently is called the 13th baktun. As I've stated, it takes 13 of these individual baktuns to go ahead and make one Mayan world age. And I've got a chart that's going to help us to see all this a lot better. So keep in mind that we independently finish these cycles off at December 21st, 2012. We complete this cycle here, which is basically the cycle of this in days. This is the cycle of it in years. 144,000 days equals in years 394 years. So thus, one baktun is 394 years or 144,000 days. So it takes 13 baktuns to make one Mayan world age. Now, I will be back, and it's going to be easy to explain with the chart.